You're right, I was muted. I'm sorry about that. Thank you for that, Robert. Appreciate it. It's early. Just gonna do some print snips this morning. Hey everyone, Nimby here. Gonna do some print snips. Thanks for joining in, Robert. Always good to have you, my friend. Yeah, I had it muted when I got the phone call yesterday, but forgot to unmute it. So appreciate that. Just give me 1 sec, get the rest of the stream set up here. Forgot a couple things. Cool. And kickback days like probably professional development day or something where everything's not really going crazy. Well, it's my Monday today, so I'm gonna start work in a couple hours. Save the world one printer at a time. Hopefully it'll be a nice, slow, even day today. That'll be great. So my nose is a little sniffly this morning, but I don't feel sick or anything. It's just probably some allergies. Okay, so we're just gonna cut off some. Made a little bead head there. Look like I'm just a hair out of focus. Let's see here. Oh, so am I. That was 4 days of a good bit of work to get that going, but I got it going. Turned out it was dead capacitor for the pump start relay. Capacitor looked fine and tested okay, but as soon as I changed it out, it worked, so it just did. But I'm not gonna argue with it. If it's working, it's working. Okay, so we're just going to tie in these tails one at a time here. For kicks and giggles, I'm going to actually do this one up as a royal prince nymph, so it's just a variant on the prince nymph. It's like a cross between a royal coachman, which we tied the day before, and a prince nymph. Basically, you just switch the body out. Okay, so I like good size long tails on these, but that's your preference. Oh, sweet. No, never. It won't ever be boring for you. There is always something you can learn as anything. Every time I go into the fly shop, I talk to them and learn something or find a new material or yeah, it's a never-ending process. If you find yourself bored, then it's probably time to take a break and do something else for a bit. Just like any other hobby. Okay, so I like to tie these in one at a time. You can see the one there, it's flared off nice to the left, or right, whatever side that is for you guys. Right up. I always find that the easiest way to match these up is to get it in there with your finger on the side. So you're kind of just pinning it in there temporarily. And getting it close. You can feel it with your finger more than you can see it. The ends get really thin, especially if your eyesight's older. So you can feel it and you can see it move. And if they're roughly the same, then just throw one wrap in to kind of just hold it in place. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna jump in there and be bored at all. You're gonna be wide-eyed like a kid on Christmas. And there you go. See, it's not that hard. Like, it does take some practice to get these tails this nice. I will admit, it took me hundreds of flies to get them, so I can get them. What I like to see is when the fly is perfectly straight like that, the the left side hides the right side, so they're like perfectly aligned, right? You don't see one, like if I turn it, it doesn't look like that. To get it so it looks just like that, so they're perfectly lined up. No worries. I'm really glad I can help you. That's honestly exactly why I'm here. Um, been doing this a while, and it's definitely not for the money. It's to help people out, and that means the world to me. So, very happy I can help you enjoy the hobby. I'm super honored to be able to do that for people. Alright, I'm just going to fix up the thread body there and get those buried in. But yeah, doing that little trick with your finger I found works a lot better than by eye, because the ends of them get quite thin, and it's a little bit hard to judge when you're looking on it like this, and they're really thin. But your finger isn't gonna lie to you. You'll feel it, right? And that's close enough to getting it exactly flat just by holding your finger at the end. And then you can get your tails looking like that, where they're just exactly symmetrical, and you don't have to fuss with it. I know I made it look easy, because it isn't. Will probably take you hundreds of flies to get to that point, but the whole point is that you'll get closer every time you do it. Again, I apologize for the sniffly nose this morning. I'm not really sure what's up with that. It was fine when I originally woke up, so. I'm assuming it's probably some of the new flowers or something I brought into the house would make the most sense to me. Okay, let's do. I think I was gonna do gold. I was gonna do gold. Yeah, I'll do gold because we got the gold bead going on there. So, just be a second here. Get some gold wire or gold thread out of here. Yeah, that'll work. You can use wire. You can use copper. Copper wire is probably the classic choice. It adds a little bit of weight, but I have a really heavy. Um, it's just a brass bead, but it's quite substantial. Yeah, it's probably residual torment. Ugh. I mean, I thoroughly love living off grid and running my own utilities. But when they go down, whew, I'm glad I'm a handy person and can fix these kind of things myself. At least so far, knock on wood. Hey Doug, it's going good, mate. Just gonna doing up some classic Prince nymphs and some Royal Prince nymphs this morning, which is basically just a Prince nymph with a Royal Coachman body on it. Yeah, next is getting my solar system. Yeah, morning, Doug. I'm glad you guys can drop in. It really makes my day. But yeah, next project I was gonna tackle it this fall is to get a better solar system set up. I have a number of panels, and I use them for all of my outbuildings because it's just easier than running power to them because I'm not out there all the time. But unfortunately, being I live up north in Canada, we get so little sunlight in the winter that I'm having trouble, even when I'm not using the buildings, to keeping the batteries charged up. Um, if I leave an inverter running on them anyway. So obviously I need more panels. I love that term. It's all good, mate. Some days I got some pretty big sausage fingers myself. Some days I just don't want to do what you want them to do, and you're like, hey, come on, man. Do the thing with the fly and hold the stuff. And it's just like, nah, I'm not gonna do that today. That's okay. We're not here to prove anything to anyone. We're just enjoying ourselves tying some flies, so. And hopefully these morning tying session times are working okay for you guys. They're definitely a lot easier. Well, I don't know about easier because I'm waking up early, but I'm up anyway these times. So I just decided it's a nice quiet time when I commit to doing this daily, and it's not going to interrupt the rest of my day, and I can be a little more consistent with the tying times. Yeah, let's do right about there. Just tying in this red floss here. This is just red uni single floss. Yeah, Doug, since you're going to the store there, I'm just gonna slide off topic here for a second, because I don't know if Doug's gonna have to take off, deal with his work stuff or not at some point here. So, Doug, when you go in, or sorry, not Doug, Robert, when you go in, I would suggest that you find yourself some uni black 6/0, okay, to start with. As you get better, you can work up. You can buy yourself some of this while you're in there if you want, because it's probably going to be fairly inexpensive. Oh, come on, buddy. I'm not in the mood for the crazy techno stuff right now. There we go. When you move up, then you can move to some 8/0, just black. You can tie almost everything with that, okay? The 8/0 is going to be thinner. It's going to snap on you a lot more. But the benefit of having some of the 8/0 is it won't build up the head sizes on you when you're learning. Keeping your heads down with a 6 is a little bit of a challenge, something you got to keep your mind on anyway. But get some black 6. I'm assuming if it's a more modern place, they're going to want you to use a. Do I have in here? I should have some, or at least one on my thing without having to dig in. This is one, but the label's not on. A modern GSP thread. So all the modern GSP threads, and threads are just going to be one of those things you're going to go to the aisle, and your brain's just going to go, because there's just so many choices. So I'm going to try and make this a little easier for you because that's where most people just kind of lose it. Because you could buy the whole wall and not really know what you're getting. So for GSP thread, you want to find something that's going to be in denier and not in aught. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the difference between denier and aught, but a denier is the weight of a certain kilometer of the thread and how many kilograms it is. Which is a really weird way, in my opinion, of measuring thread. But it's basically measuring the thickness of the thread, in essence, or the weight of the thread. So 72 denier, or anything around 70. Sometimes you'll see 86, sometimes you'll see 90. It all depends on the brand. But anything around 70 to 90, that's where you want to kind of start tying with. Okay? And then you have your aughts. An aught is just like wire gauge. So you sound like you're into repair and stuff and everything, so I'm sure you're familiar with like wire gauge, 12-aught, 14, 24, all that stuff. So this is the exact same kind of gauge. It's how many times, if this was a wire, it was pulled through the wire block. So the more times you pull it through, the thinner the wire gets, right? So the higher the aught number, the thinner the thread is. That's why 8-aught is actually smaller. Yeah, thread stuff is, that's why I'm just jumping in that real quick for you, because I know thread stuff is where a lot of people trip up on their first couple days, because it's just, it's its own animal. And even for people who have been doing it forever, it's confusing as all get out, because every company has their own way of doing it, and every brand, and even in brands, just thread types are different. But I suggest when you're starting out, although they're probably going to suggest differently, I would suggest you start with a uni thread. Now what a uni thread is, it's an old classic. It's just regular nylon rayon thread. So it has a central 4-cord with a wrap around it. So it's like a rope. Okay. You can't really flatten it out, although you can cord it up a bit by spinning it. They're going to probably start you with a GSP thread, which is, yeah, exactly. It's the exact same gauge. I don't know, the same gauge, but same idea as metal wire. Yep, exactly the same kind of thing. Denier's messed up. Just remember, if you want to be around 70 to 90, and you'll be fine for most tying. If you want something a little thicker for, like, say, bigger flies, or doing spinning deer hair, or something where you need something girthier, then 100 and something, 120, 140 is kind of where you're going with denier. But for the most part, 72 denier is your standard thread size. So just find something that looks cool in color and grab it in 72 denier or 8-aught, and you'll be just fine. Ignore everything else until you kind of find something that you specifically want, because you could spend your whole paycheck on that thread wall. Now the other thing I'd recommend is to, did I tie my thread in there? Yeah, I did. Okay. The other thing I'd recommend is that you, I'm just going to throw a extra hackle plier on here. Come on, buddy. Cat hair everywhere. You buy only 3 types of thread, unless you really don't care about the extra money. But buy only 3 colors of thread in each of those type of thread types. So buy a black, that's your main tying thread. You can tie almost everything with black. Buy a white, again, you can tie almost anything in white because you can color it whatever color you want with a Sharpie. If you have black, white, and a brown, you can tie almost any pattern. Those are the only 3 you really need. Oh, sorry, not brown, because you can Sharpie the brown. Black, white, and red. The reason I say buy red, if you're going to buy colored thread, is it's hard to Sharpie in red thread like I'm using today. and have it consistent and bright enough that it makes a nice hot spot. So for the extra effort, just buy a spool of red thread, and I would just suggest an 8/0 uni thread. You can buy. My sticker came off this one. This is a Tech Stream Twisted Classic, and they have a Classic Waxed. Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised how quickly you get to that. I mean, if you want to consider it an advanced level, I don't think it's ever bad to watch something that's above what you're tying at, because then you can always gain something from it, right? Oh, this is just untwisting on me like crazy. Okay, let's stay together until we get this tied in. Come on now. I want this butt to be nice and thick. I think we got her. But yeah, so buy a black, buy a white, buy a red. Ignore the other colors for now. Those are more like candy. That being said, I have hundreds of red colors and types, but I do use them specifically. But there isn't a fly I couldn't tie with those three colors, except for maybe like some salmon flies where I need a yellow. Can be hard too. Stay. Don't tangle on me. Just stay there for a second. Come on now. Ugh. Hey, out of money's not an object yet. Open the wallet and just go to town, because threads are fun. But it's not gonna make you any better of a tire. They're completely unnecessary. But like I was saying. Oh yeah, sorry. With dragonfly, like, it depends on how you're tying it. If you're talking like dragonfly nymph or dragonfly like the blue, like a damselfly, like a one with the wings, like a full-on dragonfly or a nymph. Oh, Valhall's in. Hey, buddy. Good to have you in this morning, too. Oh, yeah, I can do one. I was actually thinking about doing that the other day, but then I decided to do something a little more, just because I've been so bogged down with getting that well working and been kind of exhausted, to be honest with you. I decided just to do some more kind of fun, simple patterns that bring me some joy. So that's why we're doing these Prince Nymphs and Royal Coachmans, since I've done them a lot and I enjoy tying them. But that's just me being selfish. Well, yeah, that's true. Silk actually lasts longer. I have some silk that's like uh, coming up on 100 years and it's still fine. It depends as long as it was stored correctly and it was stored out of the sun. And there are binding agents, and some of the older silk threads, when they dyed them, they used an acidic dye. But they were kind of aware of that at the time, so those would generally be your kind of lower end silks. But silks are awesome to have. Like, I love finding that kind of thing at the thrift stores, because the modern stuff just isn't the same as the old stuff. But those are great for tying in like hot spots. Even do it in like middle section collars like this. You don't necessarily have to use the acetone floss. You can use embroidery thread. You can use almost anything. But yeah, the couple things to keep in mind with buying thread like that, especially vintage thread, is just pull some out and measure, if you're worried about it anyway, measure how long a certain length, and then clip your hackle pliers or something with a bit of weight on it, and just leave it hanging overnight, and then remeasure it in the morning. If it stretches out a lot, then the silk threads are bound like wool, so they can separate and pull out over time. And if that's happening, they're a little bit too old, or they just weren't spun correctly. So if you're finding that it's stretching, that might not be the best thing to use. The next thing to do is just grab a length of it, and then let's get some more peacock here. I went through that faster than I was expecting to. The next thing to do would be to check to make sure that it's not brittle. All good. Hey, Vilgrams. Sorry, I've been missing your streams, bud. I've been missing everyone's streams. I've been dealing with my well pump. Got it working, though, after 4 days. That was a trudge through. Like he says, trudge on through. Oh. You talking about me or Vilgrams? Oh, Vilgrams, yeah. I caught like a very short chunk of it, and it looked like it was a good time. I was exhausted, though. I played video games and passed out. Ha! Oh. Alright, got our body in there. Let's straighten this guy out there a bit. Oh, looks like I got like a wrap or two just a hair too close to my tail, so I'll just fix that. That makes me sad because that tail was like smack on perfect before. That's good enough. Doo-doo. Well, actually, I'm gonna throw a half hitch here and we'll use a rotary for this part. Got a large bead on this one, so I'm not worried about overfilling that collar terribly much. All my contact info is on the in the description if you need it. in the whatever info section. There. That gives it a little flash. Hey, that's pretty cool. I like that. I normally do this one in silver. It's been a while since I've tied this variation, but it looks cool in the gold too. Kind of Christmassy. Cool. Yeah, I need to do that. I need to figure out how to do that with my OBS setup, where I gotta just kind of tear everything down and redo it with just using the YouTube app. Might be easier for doing the words escape my brain. The join streams. Dual streaming. There's a term for it. I can't recall it off the top, man. You all know what I'm talking about, though, so it's all good. Alright, so we're just going to do some white goose by it. These ones are sticking together a little bit. Try and get some of the thicker ones. Thicker on this end. Yeah, looks like it. These are going to be our top, I think these are supposed to represent like a wing casing. Just got two there? Yeah. Okay, so some people will just tie them in just like that and be done with it. There's nothing wrong with it. I like to tie mine forward and then bring them back and get the right length that way. And that'll stop them from pulling out and breaking off nearly as quick. You got a double tie on there. So the easiest way to do this is you're just going to kind of guesstimate first. You want to have it about a bobbin length longer than you want it. I like it to end just past the rump there. So it's hanging out, so I'm going to do a little bit longer. I can kind of eyeball where that's going to land on here, and then we can adjust it after, so I'm not terribly worried about that. And we'll tie it in right on the side. And we're just going to do one at a time. You can tie them both in, especially if you're doing a bunch of these and you're just kind of want to get them done. Let's see, if I flip that over, that's pretty much exactly where I want it. Just like a whiff past the butt. And it's going to lose just a little bit of length there now when we tie it and fold it back, but not a lot. Okay, so now that I got that one in place, 3 wraps total to hold it in, and we'll get its partner in there. It's easier to make these smaller than it is to make them taller, so because grabbing the butt end and pulling back, these are a lot stronger than trying to grab the tip and having it get mucked up. Okay, so I can feel that those are pretty much identical, and when I fold them back, they're not. You can see the one is just a whiff, the bottom one's a whiff longer than the top, so I'm just going to pull on that. If I can find my tweezers. Where'd they go? There we are. Really need to make a little tool rack. I've been meaning to do that for a while now. I'm just going to turn this sideways so it's a little easier for me to see it. And you're just going to grab it, and you're just going to pull it back the amount that it was out. Oh, need a little bit more. Again, this is if you're going to be super fussy and you want to have a... Really, buddy? Come on now. Maybe it's sliding back forward when I'm letting go here. That's possible. Alright. There, that looks pretty close now. And again, that's me being fairly picky. It's really not going to matter if they're off by a millimeter or two. And again, 3 wraps to hold it in place. Once we got those 3 wraps in, we can come in here and clip these off. You want to try and get them close, but you really don't need to worry about having anything showing, because they're going to be right on top of them, and they're not going to get seen. And again, having a little bit of a tag here will give it a little bit of freedom to be tugged on without having them pop out. Okay, and we're going to pull them down, hold them in on either side. That's the more important part when you're tying them in. As you tie these in, they're going to want to roll, well, towards you guys, towards the camera. I wonder if those would hold an edge well if you made Damascus scissors. Guess as long as you used a good steel. I prefer like a non-stainless. Alright, I got those tied in there, but they're way too flat for my liking, so we'll separate them out. Yeah, I always found that scissors hold their edge a lot better. Oh, okay. Yeah, I always found like if you have more of a the terms lost my brain here. The one with the higher iron content that actually will rust. Stainless like has its uses, but like if you're using the scissors, like I'm just thinking for fly tying specifically, it's not like you're getting them wet, right? Other than maybe the sweat and the salt on your skin when you're using them. There's really not much in the environment that's going to cause them to rust or pit. So a high carbon steel, yeah, most isn't. And that's the thing, you get the cheap, like I'm thinking more like, not that there's anything wrong with them. I mean, like half my scissors are made out of that, but you know, like your regular box standard Indian, Eastern, or you know, made in India or Pakistan, pounded out cheap scissors, right? They're generally made out of yeah. You'd probably know better than I would what type of stainless that is that they mass produce stuff out of. Or if it is even stainless, who knows? Just because they stamp it stainless doesn't mean it is. But I mean, you're paying $1 or $2 for the scissors, so what are you expecting? Right? There we go. Yeah, I always found like I've only had a couple pairs of scissors that were made in like a high carbon steel, and the edge I could get on those things, like if you're talking about small razor type scissors, I got some cheaper ones kicking around here. These guys. So like something where you have a really thin, flexible blade, which relies on the friction of the blade to do most of the cutting, and the edge. Um, I always just found that the high carbon steel just definitely is easier to sharpen and easier to keep an edge on. Well, that's for someone that's going to sharpen them. Like most people will just use them till they're dull and then throw them out. Right. Alright, so there we are with the Prince Nymph. You can fish them just like that. You could throw a collar on there. I know. Yeah, yeah, of course you always see that stamp on there, but I'm always very dubious on whether it actually is that or not. Yeah, exactly. I think they're, in a lot of cases, they're just mixing in a bunch of nickel and making it shiny and less resistant or less likely to. Come on, brain. Having trouble this morning. I'm gonna need to take a drink of my tea here. Oh. Yeah, you're right. A's a lot softer. I think A is what you see for like the vast majority of stainless stamped out stuff. And then like B's your mid range for what you'll see when it's, a decenter quality. The stainless tool steel is hard to come by for most mass produced stuff, unless they're calling for it specifically. But yeah, especially with like Pakistan knives, and I got gobs of them, so I'm not putting them down. But it's just is part of what it is, right? Okay, so we're just gonna throw a collar on this guy. I'm using this Webby. Um, that's actually a type of hen saddle. You can tell it's hen because it has a two-stage hackle barb there. You can see how it's darker in the center, or lighter in the center, I guess, on your guys' side of the camera. It's similar to the barring on like a badger, but it is actually the hackle fibers there are actually webbed in the middle. They're not barbed. It's not a single strand. So it allows them to move more in the water, gives you the wet hackle look, just allows more movement. It's just different. But that's what you want to look for a. I'm just going to trim this up here. Trim the end off. I'm going to trim back a little bit of that first hackle because it's a little too stiff. There's about 4 or 5 strands on either side like that. That'll do. But yeah, I mean, if I could, like the steel that they make, the French steel that they make the open L knives out of, what does it start with an I? It's like index or Indidex. I can't recall off the top of my head. It is a type of high carbon steel, but it's also very resistant to staining. I'm not sure if they treat it or if it's an alloy. But that stuff is awesome. I have some, I had a small pair of scissors that I just loved, and I don't know where they ended up. There, this has it on it. INOX. It's a type of steel alloy that doesn't rust, but it's still technically a high carbon steel. These are just a pair of nail clippers. But I had a small, like mustache pair of scissors that came with these. And that steel held an edge, like, oh man, I could get that just razor hair popping sharp. Remind me what CMP is. I should know that. That rings a bell. Is that like an industrial grade steel? just cut my hackle and put it down to grab. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. Just put my hackle down for a minute and lost it. Let's brown it. Oh, okay, yes, that's where I know that from. Yeah, I can't recall where I know that from, but I definitely know that. What was I doing that I needed to know that from? I want to say it was like a car part or something. But in any case, getting off topic there a bit. I don't know if any French companies, because I think it's just specifically a French, almost branded type of steel. Because I haven't really seen it much besides people that produce metal and blades in France. So I'm assuming it's kind of like a branded. Oh, okay. Oh, one second. I have to clip a few more of these off. It is being a toot. Okay, that should do. So I'm just going to tie in that little tip there with a couple wraps. If it'll let me. Come on now. Behavior, everyone. Why are you not sticking? Sure looks like I got you in there, okay. Let's do 2 wraps and I'll pull it back a hair. There we go. I don't want to put any rosin on this because the black rosin will goop up this nice red collar and I want to avoid that. Okay, that'll do. I'm going to throw 1/2 inch on there. I'm not 100% on that hackles being stuck on there. Yeah, I figured that scissor forging is a very specific thing, because I know a lot of the guys that do it in Japan, it's like a lifetime. Oh, really? Why is it not? That's true too, yeah, there's lots more advancements in coding and that sort of thing. I'm not sure why this one's slipping out so bad, but I'm gonna actually tie this in backwards and go with that. It's not gonna give me the best looking soft hackle because the barbs will be going the other direction, but we're gonna go with that with this one. Let's see how it goes. I will throw just a hair of some beeswax on there for a little bit of grip. I don't want to add any color to it. I've been using these feathers. I don't know if it's just this specific one. It's super slippy. But I've been using this hackle to tie all these nymphs up. I haven't had a problem until now. There's a joy of live streaming, though. You gotta have the good in with the bad, right? Well, that's why you guys are here. Hang out, learn, overcome. Alright. That's all part of it. I mean, definitely not going to be perfect on every aspect. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go with rotary hackle on this one because it's being. Yeah. Wow, that's slippy. Even my hackle pliers. What is up with you? Why are you so slippy? Whoa. Okay. I'm just gonna get a new feather. I don't know what's up with that one. He does not want to become a fly. He's gonna get thrown in the trash bin. And now my collar's way thicker than I wanted it to be because I got like an extra like 10 wraps on there. More than I wanted. And I can't undo it, unfortunately, because I got the half hitches in there. Which is the downside of half hitching. Not that there's a lot of downside, but that's definitely one of them. What I could have done on this one actually is just thrown in a beard instead of fully wrapping it. Maybe I'll do that. No, I really wanted the hackle wrap. Let's just make this work. This one's damaged. You can see there's a big old chunk out of it, but again, we're gonna make it do with what we got. Gonna leave some of the hackle fibers in at the top here. Cut me a wedge. That should help lock it in. And I'm gonna just use a bit of this rosin to hopefully it won't color up the thread too much. Because this is getting crazy. Feel like I coated the thing in WD-40 or something. All good, we'll get this done. Okay, I got 2 good wraps there. Bite it down real hard. Get a 3rd and a 4th in. Nope, got the hackle fibers there. Come on, buddy. Alright. I don't normally tie directly on top like that. Just because it just looks bad. Actually, I think I might fix that. Because if you have any mistakes or off done thread wraps, and it's clearly noticeable because it's right on top of the fly. I'm going to retie that on the side here, actually. So there's no real need for that in this case. Sometimes you have to just make do, but we don't have to, so let's not do that. Alright, see, this one's fine. That one's in there good. I don't know what was up with that other one, just didn't want to stick for nothing. Oh no, buddy, don't. That was close, lost a couple wraps there. Okay, let's get this in before I lose everything. Come on now. Okay, I'm just gonna do one half hitch there, cause. Wait, okay. Oh my God, why are you slipping so bad, mate? Okay, we're gonna beard it, cause I don't have a clue why it's acting so bad. Really? Well, I guess it is different by state, right? So. They must think that's what their constituents want, or they wouldn't be doing it. Okay, so I'm gonna go with like a crisscross beard here instead, because it's driving me nuts, and I give up. So for a crisscross beard, we're gonna tie one end pointing a little bit to the left, we're gonna tie one end pointing a little bit to the right, and then one in the center. That will give us the resemblance of legs. Right. Yeah, everything's federal in Canada. We don't have, I can think of anyway. There might be some municipal laws, but I don't think there's any provincial laws for firearm. Provincial hunting laws, I suppose, but everything else is federal. Or national. There we go, that'll work. That still looks good. And I'm using a wax thread, and I waxed and rosin it, and it's still slipping all get out on me, so I'm not really sure what's up with that. It really shouldn't be, and it wasn't earlier, so could be me. That collar's like way too thick now. Oh well. We'll call it a maximum hotspot and go with that. Still looks good, but it's clearly too big. They had way too many wraps. They're trying to get that. I would have made a much smaller collar on it if I was going with these style of legs originally, but if you're doing a collar wrap, yeah, I used to work for the Fed. 15 years I was a federal officer. This one didn't go as planned, but I mean, it's still looking nice. Yeah, good to have you and Yoshi. Morning, my friend. Yeah, just gonna throw a... Oop, yeah. Throw some whip finishes on this. It's a little bit back from the collar, because that collar is humongous. That's alright. Why did I leave? Because I moved out in the bush off grid, and it was like an hour and a half drive one way, then an hour and a half back. And I've been doing it for 15 years, so I was kind of done. I did everything I needed to do. Already moved up as much as I could move up. But I'm a jillion times happier doing what I'm doing now. And that's far more important than the amount of money I was making or benefits or anything. Yeah. And I get to stay home and spend more time with my lovely, wonderful wife. Which, again, is by far more important to me. Money's just money. I can make money for forever, for the rest of my life. But that would be why. I was going to take a good bit of head cement to get that glossed up, so. Let that soak in. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was making probably 3 times what I'm making. But I am a zillion times happier. Much simpler life. Much more enjoyable. Way less stressful. And being a first responder is, you know, most days it's a regular job, but yeah, exactly. We all have choices, right? I used to be a locksmith. I used to be a 3D animator. I missed doing that, but that didn't pay worth anything. And I'm kind of glad I got out of that because now it's probably going to be a completely toasted profession. Alright, so there we go. That's a royal. Yeah, or any type of oil pipeline or anything like that. Yeah, it's a choice, and I don't consider it broke. I mean, I don't want for nothing. I got everything I've ever wanted. I thoroughly enjoy my life. Not tied down by the government with utilities and whatnot. So there we go. That is the Royal Prince Nymph with a thick, beefy collar. Nice big thick brass head on it. That'll do good in the stream. I did the 1 meal a day thing for years. Nothing wrong with it. As long as you're happy and healthy, that's all that matters. Yeah, he's got a cute little turtleneck. You know, it's getting colder out, so you gotta treat your flies proper. Give them a little turtleneck. Keep them warm when they're in the cold water. Then they can perform properly. There we go. Yeah, that turned out good. I'm gonna get another one in here, and I think this time we'll just stick with that. To match this one, we'll do the beard on it. I miss Villa's streams. Ugh, I've just been too busy lately. I like joining in on his streams, to be honest with you. I used to make a lot more of them than I do now. I'll make more of an effort. It's always finding that balance between consuming and creating, right? Every hour that I'm making videos, I'm not watching videos. And vice versa, every hour I'm watching, I'm not making. Yeah, looks like I got 2 more of these size beads ready to go. I got some silvers to do up. Come on now. But there's his friend, just a regular Prince Nymph. We got a royal one there. I like that little extra red in the center there. That just, and the little thin tinsel, that just makes it pop. I don't know. I like that a lot. Really reminds me like a Christmassy fly. It's got all the colors, right? A little bit garland. Oh, speaking of which, you guys are looking for tying material. It's a good time of year to find some. Everyone has that feeling, mate. Like, it's especially on YouTube. It's the weirdest thing where you'll spend like a week making like what you consider to be a masterpiece and like one of your best edited, best filmed, super whatever. It'll get like 50 views, and then you'll just throw like a little rant of you just talking to your camera, and it'll get like 20,000 views. So the best thing to do is remember it's a journey, and part of that journey is to learn the editing. So just try and get your editing better, a little better every time you do it. That's all you need to work on. Red copper, yeah, I might even have some on my desk here. The anodized copper, yeah, I got some. Yeah, I've definitely used it on my, I tie a, which one do I use that on? The Red-Headed Stepchild is a nymph very similar to this that I use that on. Well, this song is a little too jumpy for me. Let's switch that up. There, it's a little too early for mariachi music. Oh man, will you stop breaking on me? TVs, eh? I wouldn't even thought about going into a TV for one. Any kind of small wound motor you can typically find it on, but I stay out of things like TVs and microwaves just because of the nastier components in it, right? Wow, I really just didn't get this hook in there at all. Let's do that again. Man, I'm struggling this morning. Let's get a few more wraps on here. I have no idea. Oh, wow. I must have really... I wonder if I nicked it down here. Maybe I did. Really? Was it like, is it around the cathode ray tube in the back, or? I can't recall where I would pull copper out of a CRT from. But I guess there's a coil in the back where it uses the electromagnet to adjust the electron flow, right? Really? So where are you getting the copper from on that, though? Without having to bust the tube. I might do that next time. Yeah, there's some dangerous crap in CRTs. Yeah, you gotta be super careful, man. Those, especially like the old ones. I don't know if you know that, but like they're vacuum tube, right? So they can implode and cause all sorts of problems. So yeah, be super careful. It's not worth a couple dollars of copper. The newer ones, like anything after the yeah, because it fires electrons at the screen, the phosphorus on the screen, right? So I'm assuming that the copper is used to direct the electrons in the ray tube. But I know from cool. Yeah, I just know they're. I've never had a problem because I've been super careful. But I worked as a. I froze. Really? Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I look fine on my end. Okay. Anyway, I worked as a computer technician for years. Did a lot of repairs on all sorts of electronics, and the two things that would cause more workplace accidents slash deaths for people that repair electronics or scrapping electronics is CRT monitors and inside computer cases. And it's not that the case itself is really, well, I guess technically it's dangerous, but what happens is if you leave the power on and you get electrocuted, it's not enough to freeze you in place like 220 would or what have you, where you can't let go. But it'll cause your arms to jerk out, and a lot of people would literally slit their arms open on the sharp metal. And same with the cathode ray tubes, because sometimes those would. Yeah, those. I've always wanted to do that. The only reason, oh, not the only reason, but the main reason I haven't done a big Fresnel lens deal, because I always thought those were just all get out cool, right? Is like, what do you do with it after you're not using it? Like, how can you store that thing? I guess you'd have to drape something over top of it, because how would you store it without it always being a fire hazard? You know? You would have to have, like, I don't know, plywood on either side or something. Should add a fair bit of weight to it, I suppose. I don't know if fabric would be enough. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. The capacitors, like, people would touch them by accident, discharge them, or even like a different path on the circuit board that the capacitor was hooked up to, or some of the other wires that you weren't necessarily thinking would have the capacitor charging them. And then it would blow your arms back, and it wouldn't necessarily be the shock that got you in trouble or killed you. It would be the sharp metal all around your arms and just the force of it, your own muscles kicking you back, and it would just tear you up and you'd bleed out. And unfortunately, that was like something they always warned us about. Well, they're gonna come knocking anyway. Yeah, like I've seen so many people get injured with those things that they kind of creep me out, to be honest. And that's the thing about those old projector TVs, because I always thought those were cool too, is they're getting hard to find now because they're so big, right? They take up so much space that the people that did have them and were saving them just don't want to store them anymore, right? So they're becoming hard to find in the free used market for sure. Same with CRTs for that matter. There was a time where, you could fill your whole pickup truck with CRTs at the thrift store. Now, like, good luck. It's all old, useless LCDs. I miss my, like, Aperture Girl CRTs. Yeah, I like that. That's good, yeah. Yeah, you gotta be careful with the, I don't know if it's the red stuff on the magnetrons or if it's, I know there's a rare earth element. Ooh. Well, right in my trash bin. Goodbye. Get another one. Yep. That's too bad. That one was a really nice shape too. Um, yeah, I know with magnetrons from microwaves, there's some nasty, nasty chemicals on those and rare earths that you got to be careful with. Yeah, the projectors in them are really cool too, and like the lenses, I don't know, depending on the type of model that you were tearing down, the lenses for the actual, because there should be three projector lenses inside too, and some of them, a good chunk of them were actually water cooled because they took up a lot of juice. Um, but the lenses are I think they're just mineral oil, but it's in a liquid. But the lenses for the actual um, projector guns in there, because you'll have three: red, green, blue. Uh, those are really cool for if you need to, if you just need some really high quality clear lenses. Those are really nifty. Alright, I'm just a hair off on that one, but yeah, I've only seen, because I've only worked on a handful of them. All the ones I saw were glass, but all the ones I worked on were higher end, like Panasonics and Sonys and stuff. So yeah, yeah, they're a really cool device. Like I have to admit, if there were more of them around. Yeah, plasma was a weird thing, eh? Like it didn't last all that long, did it? It was super popular right, I guess, after after the projection TVs came out. But yeah, you're right. The lifespan on a plasma really wasn't anything to write home about. Of course, they told everyone it would be, right? But in hindsight, yeah, that's very true. I've seen some people do that online. I'm just gonna try and get this thread out of here. One second. we go. Problem with this metallic thread, if you let go of it, this whole spool just goes spring. It's neat stuff though, I have to admit. I think I got enough for 2 sections here. Let me check first. Yep, I do. Perfect. I like to cut them off just long enough to fit in my, a little bit longer for my material clip, and then I can get like 2 flies out of them. You know, that kind of stuff would probably make some good YouTube content. People love recycling stuff. I got a gob of ideas of things I want to do fly tying that way for recycling items. I just need to actually get to making the videos. Because I love doing trash flies. I know I do a lot of really good looking classic flies, but I love me some trash flies. Which would be just flies that are made out of trash. I find it very entertaining and challenging to make something pretty out of some garbage. And useful too. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. I know a lot of people down talk it a lot, but I find it endlessly entertaining. So I'd like to do some more of that. We'll see if the YouTube algorithm agrees with me. Yeah, and I love upcycling stuff and recycling stuff. It feeds my hoarder mentality to all the things I like to keep. Oh, I know, like the vast majority of everything in my house has been off the side of the road. Like all my furniture, pretty much. The desk I'm tying on, actually, my tying desk here was, yeah, same thing, side of the road. It's got a hole in the back of it, but like I don't see the back of it anyway, so whatever. Oh, like my bobbin holder uh, is just a coat hanger, and on the end of the coat hanger, if you guys can, if I can get that in focus without bending it too far, those are just chunks of USB cable that I use to hold the thread in at different angles. Yeah, it just like it blows my mind. Why would you pay for a why would you pay for like 700, 800, like the price people pay for furniture on like couches and stuff? Just mind blowing to me. It's like, dude, that's like a whole paycheck or more. I just don't get it. Yeah, I had a stockpile of monitors and screens, but my kids' monitors all burnt out recently, kind of one after the other, ironically. And my stockpile has dwindled. Well, that's exactly why I had it, right? So, also perfectly happy with that happening. So that is exactly why I had spares. if they don't find you handy. Or if they don't find you handsome. Alright, let's try bringing this one forward this time. But yeah, people trash way too much stuff in this world, mate. Like, one of my early jobs, when I was young, when I was like just after I got my driver's license, um, a lot of the local restaurants and businesses around, like they didn't have, they charged a whole ton for those big yellow garbage bins, right? And a lot of the smaller businesses around, not that they couldn't afford them, but like there was a lot of extra money for them to rent one of those, and they almost never fill it up. So very few of them had it, right? And they just had a problem with garbage piling up and having to deal with it, and the owner didn't want to have to throw it in his car and everything. Yeah, I guess the only problem is you'd have to make sure you got an amp that's gonna push that out and your ohms and everything are right. I mean, if you care about sound quality anyway. If you're just going for music in every room, you can totally do that. As much as I love analog stuff, ironically, it would probably be easier to just set up a small Wi-Fi mesh network or something and just pump it in through that way. But I love my analog audio and what have you. If you're going by some noisy stuff, I suppose you could even use coax cable or something that was a little more shielded. Because expensive. I mean, if you're amping it and then sending it, then it doesn't matter because it's high power anyway. It's just gonna blow through everything. I'm not sure if you're planning on running like the speaker wire to every room, or if you're planning on running the signal and having different aux gear in every place. I guess that wouldn't make a lot of sense. Not sure why I thought that. Cool. Yeah, I got an old retro one of those, you know, everyone had one at one point, or pretty much everyone had one at one point. Those I want to say entertainment stand, but that's not really. It's more like a cabinet, I guess. With it's got an 8-track player, a record player, tape deck, hi-fi system. Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you need, with the older technologies, right? Especially if you're looking at like 8-track or tapes, you're gonna need to find some spare parts, at least for, you know, having bands to run the motors and that kind of thing, because they're not gonna last forever. I really wish they did, but I mean, it's even a lot of turntables will have bands in them to run the table, right? Yeah, some of them were direct drive mechanical. I mean, if you can find one of those turntables, that'll probably last forever as long as you keep it greased and lubed up. And the motor doesn't burn out, I suppose, would be the only thing that would really kill it. I made that center wrap a little thick there, so I'm going to back wrap the hackle on it just a hair. Yeah, as long as the belts aren't rotten, that's a good idea, because yeah, finding, not only are they friggin' expensive, but it can be really hard just to find the right belt for old stuff. Even in like new old stock, it's just sometimes you just can't find them. Especially if they're like a toothed belt, you got to get the angle right and the tooth amounts right. If it's more like a V-groove belt, then, you know, whatever, you can get by with a lot of different things. Oh, I love tube stuff. It just, to me, it sounds better too, right? It has a different, warmer audio. I know it's probably in my head, but to me, everything, the tube audio just sounds, it has a different hum to it. It doesn't have that tingy, dry digital. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you're into that kind of thing, right? It has more life to it. Yeah, don't we all have a box of screws? Okay, and we're gonna go with a much smaller collar on this one, because we don't need a big collar. So we're gonna do a beard. Okay. Again, let's do the rotary on this. Do a couple half hitches in there. That's another kind of aspect of a YouTube channel I could probably get into. Would be like a vintage electronic / hi-fi. That's cool. I was actually surprised. I had the similar problem not too long ago, and I was really surprised at how exact and different gas caps are. Yeah, I really thought gas caps were more of a standardized thing, but nope. Yeah, that metallic thread just makes this body just pop. I like that. That looks so cool to me. I think it's coming through on the camera. Yeah, it looks good to me on the camera too. The thread just has a little different look to it than the wire. Yeah, and I don't know, I don't remember what happened. If I just put my gas cap down somewhere, or I don't recall exactly what the issue was at the time. But I needed another gas cap, and finding one that actually fit was more of a trial than I ever expected it would be. Yeah, it does actually. It almost looks like a resistor or something, doesn't it? I've actually had some daydream brain ideas about making like an electronic kind of based fly out of old electronic resistors and stuff. Maybe I'll do that one day for fun. Same thing back in the day when I was repairing stuff all the time. I'd have gobs and gobs and boxes of resistor caps and all the jelly bean parts that like is gonna take a week for you to order one and it's only worth like 5 cents, but you need a bunch. Yeah, we're gonna nail that back. And to me, those are the things that are worth keeping because it's like, it's more of a pain trying to find a replacement than, it's not that you can't, you can order them by the thousand. It's just, you need that one thing that burnt out on a board and you gotta solder it back in. And you don't want to have to wait like 3 weeks for the thing to come in. Yeah, I actually ran into a couple when I was looking for the well material when I was working on my well here. Because there was some old, at the parts place I was looking at for the electronics place to get the capacitors, they had some old disconnect shutoffs that had those in them. I was like, those are cool. Okay, let's shorten up this one here just a hair then. It's easier to shorten than to lengthen them. This one is just a hair too long. There, that should do it. Wrap. Beauty, yeah, those look fine. Like it. Good stuff. Brr. Yeah, I think the main benefit of those, if I'm not mistaken, is that they have like a holdover so they don't blow right away. So if you have spike voltage or startup voltage from a motor or what have you, I think that's why they were commonly used in wells and that too. They're cool looking though. I have to admit they're a nifty little deal. Those didn't lay 100% the way I wanted them to. Pretty close. State ID printers. They're like driver's licenses and stuff. I'm assuming those would be like a thermal deal, like thermal printing. There we go. I don't like my top wings to be spread out too much. It's like that. They tend to spread out as soon as they get wet, so we gotta kind of compensate for that so they're not going crazy. True. That is funny. Really? That's hilarious. I don't think an ID print. I thought for sure that's like finding a money plate, you know? I thought those kind of things had to be like properly disposed of. That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm sure someone will get fired over that. It's probably someone's job to dispose of it, and they're like, this thing's heavy and, you know, almost indestructible, so we'll just throw it out in this ditch and no one will find it. Oh, I'm sure. But everything's super secret and secure until you don't need it anymore, and then you just toss it. Really, even that's like, I mean, that as far as I understand, that film's hard to come by. It's probably worth a pretty penny in itself. Not that I suggest you do anything illegal now. That would be wrong. And we wouldn't want to do that. That's crazy. Yeah, I thought for sure that kind of thing would have been locked down and, shredded or something. 'Cause, yeah, we dealt with a lot of that stuff when I worked for the government, and it was like even stupid stuff like bins and that had to be shredded and got rid of this in a secure manner. That's nuts. Yeah, I'd imagine like the amount of cycles that thing would do in a day is probably pretty crazy. So I imagine the motors in that thing would be super high quality stepper motors. So you can do all sorts of stuff with stepper motors. That's a find. Thanks, Robert. No worry, Robert. Thanks for stopping in, mate. I'll be done after this one here because I'm gonna jump in the shower, get ready for work and everything. Yeah, that's crazy. I remember I was cataloging a locker full of spare parts for NavCan at one point, and there was just these metal tubes about, yay big in there. Almost looked like Sharpie markers. And they actually were they were sealed, so it wasn't a problem, but it was like they were full of a very toxic rare earth element. It should not have been in there. But we had to dispose of those correctly. I had no idea what they were. Oh, what is it with all the... Sometimes I'm like the energy beats of the techno stuff, but no, it's too early for that right now. Yeah, let's get a half hitch on this and call her good. Or whip finish. Well, it is technically a half hitch anyway. Yeah, I like him. He turned out really good. Look at that. That's a pretty little prince nymph. I like that. If I made a couple hundred of these, I'd have a Princeton. That's funny. And it's unfortunate too, like... Oh yeah? It's, and it's kind of sad how the laws and regulations have, made it harder to recycle and scrap stuff. Like, you used to be able to go to the, well, just the place where we recycle our pop cans and whatever. People would drop off their, old electronics and computers and what have you. There'd be like a big pile of them, right? And you could dig through and get some extra RAM or some really cool old like 486 processors and stuff like that. And it didn't take long before they shut that all down, and now you can't get anything. And all that stuff just gets scrapped. I guess they do get a very small amount of money for the metals in it, but I honestly think the majority of it probably just ends up getting crushed and buried. Really? I don't know if they track that kind of thing in Canada as much, but I always thought it was kind of weird that they would. 'Cause it's like the person that picked or dropped it off is just, you know, garbage, right? Hey, so here we have a Prince Nymph. The royal variety of Prince Nymph. There we go. Hey, I'm gonna call that good for today. Thanks for hanging out with me, Val. I know, Robert, you're gone, but thanks in any case. Always appreciate you guys hanging out. Villa, I think you're gone too, but thanks for stopping in. Yoshi, Doug. There's the 3 we did today. Thanks for stopping in, all. Hopefully you have a wonderful day today. You too, man. Good luck with the projects that you're working on. Hopefully they all turn out really good for you.
Laters.